All right, hold on 1 second, cause I'm gonna go get a drink real quick. Just hold your horses for one more second. All right. Unfortunately, we're at a bad place with my health journey. I'm not sick and I'm very healthy, but I also have bought a 12-pack of Purple Mountain Dews, and I've almost drank 12 of them since Friday. So I'm going to call this a crazy freaking weekend. I mean, one that we really did go off the rails when we did that. We really did. And I just wanted to let you know that, because sometimes it is good to have a little bit of fun. I've got my Aunt Jill's cookies here. That she made me. Thanks, Aunt Jill. I can taste the flour. I can taste the sugar. And they're fantastic, and you used a perfect combination of both to make these cookies as delicious as possible. So thank you. And I know I'm not going to drink this in front of you, but this was just to let you know, like, hey, I have bad habits too. And but yeah, we're here, we're doing it. Thanks for waiting on me, guys. Look. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you that when I woke up this morning, I literally had water in my car that leaked through the sunroof of the roof of my car. There was water all in my cup holders. There's a little tray I have that closes and opens. The lid does, and it's a little rectangular box like this with the lid on it, and it filled up with water, and it had my AirPods in it, and my AirPods got destroyed, and so that's unfortunate, because I really like those things, and I wish that I could keep using them, but I just can't. And so yeah, that was not fun waking up to that. But anyways, we're here, and the cookies are delicious. But that's all that I have to report to you guys. If you want to know more details, you should probably text and ask about it, because we're going to start talking about the story of Jesus that we're in. And can anybody remind me where we're at? Does anybody know what I'm talking about right now? Has anybody been paying attention? Because right now, John the Baptist, there's a guy who came out of the wilderness preaching and teaching about repentance of sins and how the kingdom of heaven is near. And he was baptizing people. And the next thing you know, this guy who he's talking about actually shows up. And they said that there was a loud voice that they heard out loud that said, "This is my son, and he's like, I love him." And then he goes out into the wilderness. The guy who came on the scene, by the way, his name was John the Baptist, and he was preaching and teaching about the one to come in front of him, who is referred to as Jesus. We refer to him as Jesus today. And then he goes out into the wilderness after being what we quote unquote in the Bible would refer to as baptism. Goes out after his baptism into the wilderness for 40 days. And it says that the devil tempted him out there and tried to get him to divert his plans from the ones that God had given him. And all of these things happened in the desert. And then he comes back and he begins his ministry. He starts calling his disciples, and that's where we left off with this whole story about who Jesus Christ is, and right now I just want to explain that to you guys. That's why I read the story, And now we have a very clear channel for me to communicate through where you guys can hear me directly. So that's going to be a big time dub in the future. But basically, he's going to clean a man with an he's going to heal a man with an unclean spirit. And so basically this is what happens. It says they went into Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath, this is Mark chapter 1 verse 21, by the way, if you wanted to read along by yourself. And they went into Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath he entered the synagogue and was teaching. And they were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one who had authority, and not as the scribes. And immediately there in the synagogue was a man with an unclean spirit. And he cried out, what have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God. But Jesus rebuked him, saying, be silent and come out of him. And the unclean spirit, convulsing him and crying out with a loud voice, came out of him. And they were all amazed, so that they questioned among themselves, saying, what is this? A new teaching with authority? He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him. And at once his fame spread everywhere throughout the surrounding region of Galilee. So hopefully you guys could hear that, and hopefully you guys are understanding what exactly is happening. There's a man with an unclean spirit. Jesus speaks directly to it. He doesn't beat around the bush. He doesn't use this stuff that he believes is around him, and he's going to charm everything like witchcraft. No, he just speaks directly to it, and he pierces through it with pure intentions. Hello, how are you? What are you doing? What is your name? Hello, my name is Braxton. Very clear, nothing else behind it. With no malice, no anger, no wrath, no deceit. Just hello. And he rebukes the unclean spirit. He rebukes it, and he makes it leave because it's not healthy. That's why it's called unclean. That's why it's unclean, because it's not healthy, and it brings death. So if you want to live longer, then don't do things that aren't healthy. That's all I've got to say. And that's how these unclean spirits come about, is that you compromise what you know in your heart and your mind to be right, and you make little compromises throughout the day. And that turns into a big fat boo-boo. So, if you don't want a big fat boo-boo, you should just listen to what this guy said and not do it again. Because obviously he's teaching you the best way to move forward. Hey, don't do things that you know are wrong. Don't listen to what other people say. Listen to reason, to logic. Listen to your past experiences. Try and remember what happened the last time you did something like that and how you really felt about it. And don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Because that's what you do when you compromise. You just tell yourself a bunch of lies. And guess what? You're going to listen to yourself because it's a voice and you can hear it. So naturally, you listen to it. And things happen. Things happen when you listen to sounds produced by other things or yourself. Things happen. That's how it works. And Jesus is speaking directly to this unclean spirit in the power that is basically the kingdom of heaven and his understanding of it. And now that we have the understanding of it, it's all because we have Jesus. Jesus showed us all of this stuff so that we wouldn't be fools and live like foolish people and die from our own mistakes. That's why in the Old Testament, in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, he gave them all these rules because they weren't smart enough to know this stuff. So he told them, don't touch weasels and ferrets because they have diseases. But he didn't know how to explain bacteria and cellular composition to them, so he just told them not to do it. He just said, hey, don't do this stuff because you're going to get sick and die. And I don't want you to die. But you're doing it to yourself and you're making yourself sick. So there's only so much I can do for you other than tell you about the truth. And if you want to listen, you can, but that's not my choice. So, that's basically how it goes. And then it says, and immediately he left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law lay ill with a fever, and immediately they told him about her. And came and took her by the hand and lifted up her hand, and forever the fever left her. And she began to serve them. So he just heals Peter's mother. His name is Simon right now because his name has been changed. You know, God changes your name. When you come to God and you start doing what he said to do and staying healthy and maintaining life with the words that he spoke over you, he spoke life over you. He said, I am the bread of life. And when you practice the things that he has put in place with you, you have understanding outside of space and time, outside of the things that you limit yourself with your limited knowledge and understanding of how this place works. Because you're not the designer, you're the design. And so basically, we just read about the designer healing somebody of their diseases. And then it says, that evening at sundown, they brought to him all who were sick or oppressed by demons. The things that happen as a result, a negative thing that happens as a result of your actions. So when you do things that have negative results, bad things happen. You start to not feel good mentally. Your body starts to not feel good. Your train of thought isn't healthy anymore. It's not clean. It's not pure. It's not blameless. It's not a clean conscience. So when you operate under a conscience that's dirty or that is not pure, you start to become unhealthy and sick, mentally and physically. Have you ever tried to lie to somebody and hold it in and not tell anybody the truth? You get sick, physically sick trying to do that. That's a result of a bad choice. That's the result of a bad decision. That's the result of sin. When something has a negative connotation, when that stuff happens, you know this stuff, but you lie to yourself and tell you that it's not true and that it doesn't matter, but it does matter. It matters more than you think. So basically, he goes and heals all of these people, and he would not permit the demons to speak because they knew him. So basically, these demons are trying to say things to the other people that they already know, and he's silencing them because he knows that they already know. So why would I be speaking to somebody about something that they already know if I already know that they already know? That's what he's doing. And so he casts out all of these evil spirits. He heals the sick and oppressed people. And so that's what we're all looking for, right? We all want to be clean. We all want to operate with efficiency. We want to be machines out here accomplishing great things with glory and honor and respect. And that glory and honor and respect only happens when we are operating in clear conscience, because those decisions are affecting us down the road. And every decision you make matters. Every single decision you make matters. So just test your decisions and see what happens after you make them. And then decide to yourself, is this something that I want to keep dealing with later down the road? Or do I want to go ahead and cut this out now? Now I understand. I understand that things are hard to get over sometimes. Alcoholism, drinking this Mountain Dew isn't good for me. And I've almost had 12 of them in the last 3 days. But Braxton, why do you keep doing it? Because I think the risk and reward is okay for... I'm willing to receive what I'm putting into this later. And I might regret it if I get diabetes. But I don't think that I'm going to get diabetes from it. And I believe that, and I'm walking with that through faith. And if I'm wrong, then I get diabetes, and I was wrong, and I'll take the next step. But I don't think that the path that I'm on is going to give me diabetes. That's just something that I'm confident in, and that's just the way that I'm willing to operate through faith. That my system that I've put in place is going to be effective. Now, I can't always rely on my own system. This is just a side of the coin. You see, a coin has two different faces, and depending on how you look at the coin, it can look different in different lights. And it's all the coin, but but all of the parts of the coin are different. And so when you analyze something like that, like obedience, when you analyze obedience has different sides. On one hand, you could be radically obedient for the sake of your reward, or on the other hand, your relationship with God could make you want to become radically obedient because he likes stuff that is clean and pure and blameless, and sexual immorality and lying and stealing isn't clean and pure, so you have to clean yourself up if you want to get close to him. And so obedience could be a result of doing something. And so there's lots of different ways to explain to somebody what obedience is, even though it's all obedience. And that doesn't mean one way is wrong or one way is right. It's just the way. And it's just obedience. And so you have to think about things like that. Think about them in that kind of light. And so I don't remember exactly what the point was, but you got that. I know you did, because I explained it very clearly. And I know that you're intelligent, competent. I know that you're capable enough to hear what I said and at some point in time process it to be successful for yourself. So I'm not worried about that. And rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and went out to a desolate place. And there he prayed, and Simon and those who were with him searched for him. And they found him and said to him, "Everyone is looking for you." And he said to them, "Let us go on the next towns, that I may preach there also, for that is why I came out." And he went throughout all Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out demons. Now, this is the beginning of Jesus' ministry, and he's going to accomplish a lot of stuff inside the time that he starts and the time that he finishes. And this is just the beginning. He's going to cleanse a leper in the next part of this, heal a paralytic, call more disciples, question the people who have basically all the authority, and see what they know about God and his kingdom. And that's the kind of how he's operating, is under the authority of God. And if you believe there's a God and you think that there is one, then you know that he would strike somebody down and he would make them not prosper if they weren't doing his will. And you're like, how does all these people who are stealing money from poor people still have money if that's true, Braxton? Well, let me tell you, God doesn't illustrate his way in the way that you want him to, or the way that you think he would, because that would make you God if he did everything that you thought he should do. Aren't you glad that you're not God and your ways aren't his ways? Because if they were, your way would be really small and finite. But he's not you and you're not him. So don't worry about how he handles things when you think that those people deserve something or don't. Don't worry about that. It's way too complex for you to even comprehend anyways. You couldn't comprehend, you forget, all this stuff happens. Your human mind and your memory is flawed. Wait 10 minutes, you'll forget what color the wallpaper was at your house when you were 4. I mean, just trust me, he knows more than you do. And that's what we're going to talk about on the next video. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that this was enlightening.